In November of 1932, a farmer in Western Australia woke up to find his wheat field gone, not damaged, gone, flattened in a single night, as if something had walked through it, thousands of somethings, and left nothing standing behind them. This was the Campion district, deep in the wheatbelt east of Perth, where the land is flat and gold and goes on for miles, without a fence to stop it. The men who farmed here weren't ordinary farmers. Most of them were veterans, soldiers who'd survived the trenches of the First World War, and been given this land afterward, a government program called Soldier Settlement, a promise that if they broke this soil, it would pay them back. It hadn't, as the Great Depression had gutted wheat prices. The rain hadn't come when it should have. And now, every year in the same season, they had this, a migration. Emus, tens of thousands of them, moving inland from the drying coastal country, toward the water and feed of the farmland, exactly as they always had. Long before anyone put a fence or a wheat stalk in their way. An adult emu stands up to 6 feet tall, weighs around 100 pounds, and can run 30 miles an hour. A flock of 20,000 of them does not notice a fence. It walks through it. The farmers had guns. They'd use them in a war. They believed, reasonably, that this was a problem the same tools could solve. So they asked their government for help, and specifically, they asked for machine guns. The request went to Sir George Pearce, Australia's Minister of Defence, a man who had held the post through most of the war, who agreed almost immediately. This wasn't a stretch for him. It was good politics. Veterans asking for military hardware to defend their farms. And on paper, it looked like a formality. The Army obliged. Major GPW Meredith of the Royal Australian Artillery was sent to lead the operation, along with 2 soldiers, Sergeant S. McMurray and Gunner J. O'Halloran, and 2 Lewis machine guns, capable of firing 500 rounds a minute. They brought 10,000 rounds of ammunition. A newsreel cameraman came too. Pearce wanted the operation documented, a small, useful story about the government protecting its people. Meredith's plan was simple: drive the emus toward the guns, hold position, fire in bursts. It had worked against men. Nobody in the planning stage seems to have asked, what would happen against birds that had spent millions of years running, from things trying to kill them in open country? And there is no record that anyone did. An emu does not flee in a straight line. It scatters. When one bird breaks left and another breaks right, the group doesn't panic. It disperses on purpose, each bird taking its own line through the scrub, low and fast, head tucked, using speed the way a deer uses cover. Emus have survived in the Australian interior for tens of millions of years, without a single natural predator built to outrun them. They also post lookouts, watch a flock of emus feeding, and you'll notice one head is always up, turning, while the others stay down. They move like this, generation after generation, whether anyone is watching or not. In the days before the guns arrived, the flocks kept doing exactly what they had always done, walking toward water, toward feed, toward the horizon. Unhurried, unbothered, one bird's head lifting into the wind to check the empty ground behind them. On November 2nd, 1932, Meredith's men spotted around 50 emus near Campion and opened fire. The birds scattered before the gunners could reach effective range. A handful fell. Most simply ran in every direction at once, the flock breaking apart faster than 2 men with hand-cranked machine guns could track. 2 days later, they tried again, an ambush at a local dam, where the birds would have to come to drink. This time it worked for about 12 seconds. A dozen emus went down before the Lewis gun jammed, and the rest of the flock, several hundred birds, scattered into the bush. Before the gun could be cleared, by November 8th, 6 days in, Meredith's men had fired around 2,500 rounds. The official kill count was under 200 birds. The emus had adapted mid-operation, breaking into smaller, faster-moving groups, harder to pin down, harder to trap. Meredith later filed a report comparing the emus to Zulu warriors, noting, without apparent irony, that they could face machine guns with the invulnerability of tanks. The operation was suspended that day. The Australian military had gone to war against a bird, spent 6 days and 2,500 rounds of government ammunition, and been outmaneuvered. News of the withdrawal reached Parliament, where it was met with open mockery. One member reportedly asked whether a medal would be struck for the emus. Ornithologist Dominic Cervanty publicly dismissed the entire operation as a wasteful, doomed use of military resources, a warning that, notably, had come before anyone fired a shot and had been ignored. A second attempt was authorized on November 12th and ran until early December. This time, Meredith's team claimed 986 emus killed, using roughly 10,000 rounds to do it. That's more than 10 bullets for every bird. The farmers' wheat kept getting eaten. The government quietly let the operation lapse and never sent the military again. What eventually worked wasn't firepower, it was fencing. Hundreds of miles of it, built by the farmers themselves. Over the following years, paired with a bounty system, that paid a small fee per emu beak turned in. Slower, cheaper, effective in a way 6 days of machine gun fire never was. The full record of the Emu War is thinner than the legend. That grew around it. Official kill counts came only from Meredith himself. Casualty figures for the emus are disputed by later historians, and no comprehensive independent count of the dead was ever taken. What's certain is smaller and stranger than the myth. 2 machine guns, thousands of rounds, and a military operation formally abandoned against a bird, with no army, no weapons, and no idea it was at war. Emus are not endangered. They're not even protected in Western Australia. They can be legally culled to this day under permit. And every year, in that same country outside Perth, they still walk. The same migration route inland, past the same kind of farmland, toward the same water. The guns are in a museum now. The emus are still walking to Campion.